Welcome back to another deep dive here on Hollywood Buzzing, where drama off the court might just be outpacing the action on it. The IndianaFever are 14-14 with 4 wins over the Chicago Sky, but beneath that .500 record lies a storm brewing, one that could either launch the franchise into championship territory or send it spiraling back into obscurity. Let's cut through the noise. CaitlinClark has been out, and yes, the team has pulled together some wins. Some are calling it a blessing in disguise. But hold on. Since when is losing the most transformative player in women's basketball a good thing? That's spin, not strategy. And it gets worse when post-game interviews turn into subtle jabs. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, turned what should have been a routine win into a message loud enough to echo across the league. And it wasn't one celebrating CaitlinClark. Instead, it was another entry in the ongoing saga of Team First messaging that conveniently leaves out the star who sells jerseys, fills arenas, and keeps the Fever relevant on national broadcasts. When you hear Coach White say things like, "It's not about one person, it's about the whole group," it sounds noble, until you realize she's talking about CaitlinClark like she's just another body on the bench. If you've ever watched a WNBA season from start to finish, this isn't just a coach playing humble. This is a pattern. And for Fever fans, it's starting to feel personal. It's not that the team didn't look competent without Clark. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull dropped threes in volume. Kelsey Mitchell stayed steady with her scoring and added 8 assists, and overall the Fever executed with poise. But let's not kid ourselves. That one came against a depleted Sky team missing key players like Angel Reese. Chicago's offense couldn't light a birthday candle, let alone challenge for playoff ground. So yeah, the Fever won, but this wasn't a playoff quality test. It was target practice. The problem isn't the win. It's what was said after. Stephanie White took that moment to double down on the idea that team chemistry blooms without Clark's presence. That's a wild take considering Clark's playmaking creates the very space that allows others to shine. Take her out and defenses collapse, the floor shrinks, and the offense sputters. But you wouldn't know it listening to White. Instead of praising her star, we got more lectures about resilience and not making it about you. Here's the thing. Building a championship contender doesn't mean muting your superstar. You build around them. That's how dynasties are formed. The NBA figured that out a long time ago. Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan. Franchises leaned into their stars. But with Clark, it's almost as if the Fever are trying to prove they don't need her. And that's not just bad basketball, it's risky business. Clark isn't just a standout on the court. She's a phenomenon. She's moving merchandise, driving TV ratings, and pulling casual fans into the WNBA ecosystem. That's not hype, it's economics. And it's why minimizing her role isn't just tone-deaf, it's self-sabotage. And don't think fans haven't noticed. Social media lit up after White's comments. Fever faithful and neutral fans alike saw it for what it was, shade. Whether intentional or not, the optics are terrible. It's not like Clark's been campaigning for credit. She's kept her head down, stayed professional, and endured physical targeting all season long. If anything, she's been the model teammate. But stars notice these things. And if you think she won't remember the subtle digs, think again. Sports history is filled with elite players walking away from teams that didn't have their backs. Rodgers in Green Bay, Brady in New England, LeBron from Cleveland. The WNBA may not have the same movement dynamics yet, but it's coming. Clark doesn't need Indiana, but Indiana desperately needs Clark. And yet here we are. Highlight reels on the floor, awkward narratives off it. Remember the blessing in disguise comment from earlier this year when Clark missed time? White framed it as a chance for the team to grow. That didn't age well. The Fever didn't exactly dominate in her absence. They scraped by. Those games exposed exactly why she matters so much. Without her, the floor becomes congested, shooters don't get open looks, and the offense loses its identity. That's not chemistry. That's survival. And for a franchise that should be riding the Clark wave to relevancy and revenue, it's baffling to see them throttle down her shine. Don't get it twisted, this isn't about ego. It's about opportunity. This league has been starving for stars who bring national attention. And now that they have one, they seem unsure what to do with her. If this were the NBA, Clark would already have an offense built around her strengths: spacing, pace, and freedom to orchestrate. Instead, we get offense by committee schemes that neuter her creativity. And every time she gets frozen out late in close games, fans remember White's words, "It's not about Caitlin." That line is going to follow this team until something changes. Because this isn't just about one coach. It's about the direction of the franchise. Are they trying to prove a philosophical point? Or are they trying to win? Because right now, those seem like opposing goals. And the real danger is what happens if Clark eventually decides she's had enough. You think teams in New York, LA, or Vegas wouldn't roll out the red carpet? Think again. The Fever have a once-in-a-generation talent. The worst thing they can do is treat her like a problem to solve instead of the solution she clearly is. That brings us to the weird balancing act the league itself is doing. There's this tension between wanting parity and promoting stars. But those two things don't have to be at odds. Clark's visibility shouldn't be treated like it's crowding out others. She brings more eyes to every game. That spotlight doesn't dim others, it amplifies them. But some corners of the WNBA seem uncomfortable with her stardom, and fans have noticed the difference in tone. Aya Wilson gets praised, no hesitation. Breanna Stewart? Same. But with Clark, it's always followed by a but. She's great, but... And when your own coach sounds like she's part of that narrative, that's fuel on the fire. Let's talk numbers. Clark leads the team in assists. She ranks near the top in scoring. Her presence on the floor warps defensive schemes. These aren't opinions, they're hard stats. Her plus-minus swings, wildly depending on whether she's on the court. That's called value. So when the post-game narrative ignores her contributions or frames her absence as a plus, it's not just unfair, it's illogical. Look, the Fever's path to success is crystal clear. Let Clark lead. Surround her with consistent shooters. Let her run. That formula got her to the national spotlight at Iowa. It can absolutely win titles in Indiana, but only if the team gets out of its own way. White doesn't need to give up control. She needs to shift it. Let your star shine. Design the system around her, not despite her. This isn't a system issue. It's a philosophy issue. And that's something only coaching can fix. To be fair, there's still time. The season's not over. The narrative can be salvaged. Publicly, Stephanie White can lean into Clark's leadership. Privately, she can build sets around her strengths and trust her in crunch time. That shift doesn't require overhauling the roster, just the mindset. But if it doesn't happen, if this passive-aggressive tone continues, Indiana could lose more than just games. They could lose their future, because the next big market is watching. The sponsors are watching. The networks are watching. And most importantly, CaitlinClark is watching. So the question becomes, does Stephanie White want to prove a point or win a title? Because the longer she leans on this, everyone gets a turn approach, the less likely it is the Fever get where they're trying to go. Meanwhile, the window to capitalize on Clark's presence isn't open forever. Every franchise gets its moment. Indiana's is now. Will they seize it or fumble it, trying to keep the spotlight off their brightest star? You tell us.